Assalamualaikum, greetings of peace. I'm your host Farina Siddiqui from Community Rockers program. In this segment of MCMN Network, we highlight the fabulous contributions of Muslim Canadian professionals who are benefiting the community, who are actually making an incredible impact for the society at large. Today, we have Shaikh Musleh Khan in our studio, and we are honored to have him as a wonderful Imam, khateeb, Sheikh, youth mentor, and newly appointed Toronto Police Chaplain. So let's hear how Shaikh Musleh can provide his wisdom and his contributions to the society. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, and we are really proud of all your community contributions at this young age, mashallah.
MashaAllah. We hope Allah accepts from us, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen, ameen. So, as a fairly young imam, a lot of youth is sees you as a go-to person, and I'm sure it's an incredible thing, and I hope you have been doing a lot. So tell me about your qualifications as an imam. Where did you go for your education and your experience working with different masajid?
Well, for what it's worth, I got my academic Islamic training from the University of Madina. I actually spent about 9.5 years there. So we learn all the sciences of Islam, the Arabic language, and so on. And I've also had an opportunity years ago to go to the Seneca College, Seneca at York, so where I studied computer programming. But I didn't complete it because I got accepted to Medina, and the rest of the time, for at least maybe the last 5-6 years, I've returned back to Toronto, and I've just been busy with lecturing and teaching and traveling as well. So alhamdulillah, it's worked very well for the young people. Been able to have conversations with them. Most of my audience are much younger, so that's a good thing, and it's just been able to stimulate conversation with them, getting them to ask questions. So that's usually my style of teaching, and once I can get them talking, then the relationship is there.
It's more interactive every time you engage youth.
Oh yeah, I mean, for the youth, you either give them an opportunity to interact and ask questions, or you give them an opportunity to get the best look of their life. So you don't want that to happen, and so you have to keep them engaged, and that's usually been my little secret when I'm talking to young people.
Right. So, based on your experience with youth, we hear about youth issues, we hear about youth problems. So do you think the youth is going through more of the challenges, or there is a problem in parenting?
Both.
Okay.
Both, and I think that the good thing about this conversation is that it's happening more. More Muslims, more Islamic leaders, more experts in general are talking about the balance between parenting and as well as what children and teens are going through, and how there has to be an open line of communication. You have to actively be involved both ends. So the parents have to know their children, who they're associating with, what they're learning, and so on, and that's happening, alhamdulillah. But also the kids got to give them parents some slack, because their parents brought them to this part of the world for their own good. So at the end of the day, if they don't understand their culture, the kids then should find within themselves that at the end of the day, my parents want good for me, and I need to help them understand it, and I need to understand it myself. So it works both ways. I
think this is a very good point, because I see a lot of disconnect between parents and kids, because they're actually kind of arrested between the two different worlds, two different cultures, regardless of where they come from. Even born and raised in Canada, there is a disconnect. So what do you do if you're talking to parents or youth? What kind of advice do you provide them?
Well, number one, they need to be involved. So, it's one thing when your kids come home from school, whether it be high school or college or university, but there is no conversation from the simple things like, how was your day, and observing your child. Why do you look so stressed out? Or they'll just waltz up to them into their bedroom and stay there for 2 hours. Those little things is just simply paying attention, asking questions, and showing a genuine interest of your overall child's well-being. That's where the conversation begins. And once you can do that as a parent, it doesn't matter what your involvement is with social media, or whose friends are who. You don't need to know you don't need to go that far. just pay attention to the signs that your kid is going through something, is thinking about something, but they don't know how to communicate. You be the initiator. So that's what I would say, at least from the parent's perspective. And as for the child, it's a bit more difficult for them because of social pressure, media, TV, internet, all of these avenues. Teach the kid that the last person you should confide to is your parents. You know, unfortunately, like so many TV shows portray parents as, and I hate to use this word, but just like dummies. You know, they're the last person you'd go to for advice and counsel and so on. Children need to really identify within themselves that at the end of the day, you'll lose friends. You'll lose all of that support around you, but parents will always be there and they'll always have that genuine love for them, so they need to make that connection themselves.
Oh, that's very important. Thank you so much. So we'll be back talking to Shaikh Musleh Khan, and after this break, keep watching. Assalamualaikum, welcome back. We're talking to Shaikh Musleh Khan, the first Toronto Police Chaplain. But before we get into his chaplaincy, we will continue talking about the parenting and youth tips he was providing. So we're talking about that connection and involvement. So what is the role of an imam? If I see it as an imam, as a mentor, you have been coming across these challenges. So what's your role as a mentor there?
So two things. Overall, the role of the imam is to really serve the Muslim community of all of the basic fundamental needs in terms of education, support, and resource. And this is different for every imam. Some imams can do certain things that others simply can't do. So generally speaking, when it comes to all of these standard fundamentals, this is where all of us as imams come together and we're on the same page. But where it differs now is certain imams are experts in certain areas. So for me, I usually focus on the young people and their needs and their questions. And other imams will focus on family issues and family crises. Others will focus on politics and other things. So we're all the same in terms of fundamentals, but we're all different in terms of where we wish to focus and specialize in.
So do you see imams collaborating with each other? Like I know there's a Canadian Council of Imam. Is this a collaborative body, or all imams are members, or how does it work?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, for the most part, the majority of the imams, especially in the city, work very well with each other. And we have regular conversations. This is just one council of imams. There are several actually. So we meet regularly, we call each other up, we're on WhatsApp groups, we communicate on a regular basis. The good thing about that is it's not just restricted to conversation. We also visit each other's centers. I'll take time and I'll invite other imams to come to our center. I'll do the same and go to theirs. It's a good relationship overall.
That's great, mashallah. And we need leaders like you to actually provide solutions to us as parents, because although it's a responsibility of every Muslim to understand their deen better, you guys are a resource for us in the community.
Yeah.
So tell me about your role as a Toronto Police Chaplain. And I, for one, am really a proud person from community. It's an honor for the entire community, and we're really happy that you were appointed in this role. So what does it do? Like, what's the role?
The Toronto Police Chaplain, I am actually one of, if I remember correctly, about 15 or 17 chaplains within the Toronto Police Service.
Okay.
I represent the Muslim faith, and the other chaplains represent other faith groups. But the chaplaincy itself is not about faith. The chaplaincy as a program is really lending support to the police officers. And that support could be anything from just simple conversations to a phone call from time to time to say, hey, how are you doing? How's life? How's the family? How's the kids? It's just a supportive cast, and we are at their disposal whenever they need to call upon us for anything. If we don't have those conversations, we have the opportunity to spend some time in the police cars, to go on ride-alongs with them, to actually see what a police officer goes through day in and day out. And I've done it a couple times, and I gotta tell you, it's really changed my whole outlook of what a police officer does.
Wow.
I just don't know, after maybe 10 or 15 years of doing that, how you can go home and just feel the same. The amount of stress, the things they see day in and day out is just out of this world. So it's an honor for me to be able to be part of a bigger program where we can say to these police officers that, hey, we're always here for you, and you have our full 100% support.
So that's incredible, and I am sure what you experience with the police officers is like, the amount of pressure, the stress that they go through. So it's an incredible work that they're doing. So would you like to encourage other youth and other people in our community to join police force and join the chaplaincy program?
I would encourage them to join any chaplaincy program. So there are chaplaincy programs in hospitals, in the police force, in other places as well. The chaplaincy overall is a good program, especially for young people. It gives them that exposure and that sort of reality check of what you might see on TV or what you hear people talk about to actually what happens on the ground and the people that are involved. So it's a good experience. You learn a lot, I can tell you that for sure. Not even sitting there and talking to anybody, but just by observation and experience. You learn a lot about what people go through and how they handle things. So I'm again very honored that the Toronto Police Service has this program, and I'm very honored to be part of it.
So at a personal level, why the Toronto Police Chaplaincy? You have been doing a great job in your role, and why this shift?
To be honest with you, the opportunity sort of fell in my lap. I was just looking for chaplaincy.
Okay.
I was just looking to be part of a program where I could give back to the broader community. I've been working a long time with the Muslim community, and I wanted to sort of extend and go out to the broader community. So this opportunity was the first one that I saw. So I said, okay, let me apply for it.
Okay.
And thankfully, everything just snowballed from there. I got called for an interview, went through the process, and here I am.
That's great. Amazing. So we will continue talking about your role, but are there any services that you would like our audience to know that you're providing, any upcoming courses or anything that you would like to mention?
Well, I actually work out of the Islamic Institute of Toronto, which is located in Markham. Their website is islam.ca, and all of my programs are listed there, my office timings, and I would encourage anybody who wishes, wants to have a chat or wants to know a little bit about what the Institute does, to come and visit us. It is one of the most active Islamic institutions, I would say, probably in Canada. And I'm one of 4 imams that work out of there, so we have a lot of programs for all ages, for all backgrounds, Muslim or not. Everybody is welcome at the Islamic Institute, so I would encourage everybody to just simply take some time and visit us.
And the website is islam.ca?
Islam.ca.
Okay. So we'll be back talking to Shaikh Musleh Khan. We'll talk about more, his involvement and his family. Welcome back. We're talking to Shaikh Musleh for Community Rockers program. So you spoke about Islam.ca, and people are always looking for resources that you have created. You have, mashallah, some incredible YouTube videos, and I was really amazed how it helped me, and I'm sure it helps you. So would you like to mention any specific ones and how people can get the best use of it?
So, I mean, for myself, most, if not literally all of my lectures really focus on a concept called tazkiyah, which is just the purification of the heart and soul, softening your heart and thinking about everything from how we act, how we speak to one another, and just being an overall good person. So the YouTube videos you see are just different lectures I've done around the world actually, but my main focus is Islam.ca, the Islamic Institute of Toronto. And all of my writings, all of my lectures, my programs, my seminars, everything is there. So what I would encourage everybody is to really take some time and not just look at only my section. Sheikh Ahmed Kutti, who is a profound scholar, has a section there, Ask the Scholar, which he has more than 5,000 fatwas on literally any subject you can think of, explained beautifully and very eloquently. Dr. Abdullah Hakim is also there, Sheikh Abdul Hamid. So there are several of us that are there that kind of have our own area that we focus in, and there's a chunk of material, literally anything and everything. you can find on islam.ca. So I encourage everybody to check it out.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair for mentioning that, because there is a lot of misinformation on internet, and people get to the wrong sources, and when they're actually trying to, Muslim and non-Muslims, if they're trying to look up information for Islam, they got hit by different bad websites, and they get misconceptions not cleared, actually enhanced. So Jazakallah khair for mentioning that. So other than your work, I'm sure there's a family life. You're a young dad, mashallah,
Yes.
and would you like to share anything about your family, and how do you create the balance between your busy life and the family?
So alhamdulillah, I mean, I've got 2 children. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, a 2.5-year-old son,
Mashallah.
and a very, very supportive wife. And if you ask me how I do what I do, from the traveling to the scheduling and everything else, very simply, it is because I have a supportive wife. I have a very patient wife.
Mashallah.
And without her, I don't think I can do half the things that I do. And so for me, in terms of making time for them, I have come to a point in my life where I have learned to say no to certain places that I don't need to go. It's just not that important. Somebody else can go there and do it, and I can make time for the family.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, it's whatever anybody wanted, I ran to it and I did my part.
Mm-hmm.
So I've reached to a point now, especially since I've had children, that I make time for them. And we spend time going out, to the parks, to the falls, to the, amusement park, and that's the way I try to create balance. It's not the best and most ideal situation, but it's what we're able to work with for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is incredible that you're sharing these simple little things, because a lot of people don't actually understand that imams do have a life, or they deserve a life, because we expect too much from our imams and we want them to be their best, right on mark at all times, available 24/7. So, but there is a family life and they have responsibility as well. So, is there any message that you would like to give to people?
It's funny you mentioned that, because about 2 weeks ago I was walking in the mall, and I went into a clothing store, and I was just looking at clothing, and a brother recognized me and he came up to me and he's like, this is his exact words, I kid you not, he said to me, "I can't believe that a sheikh comes to a mall." So I looked at him and I said, believe it or not, we also shop too, right? We need things.
Exactly.
So yes, we do have a social life away from our duties. It's unfortunate, but the reality is we do get overwhelmed with our responsibilities. But yeah, you might see us from time to time sitting in a restaurant. We might be having a Slurpee somewhere. We'll just be strolling in the mall with our family. But yeah, absolutely. And we need that just to stay sane.
Exactly. You bear too much pressure from the society and community at large. And then a lot of bashing, if I can say. A lot of questions being raised, a lot of negative comments. And I see them all the time. And I feel bad, sometimes, yes, we do ask questions, but we should also understand that there is a field of expertise for every person. So your field of expertise is Deen. You're providing your services, your support, and your contribution to the community in that particular field. We cannot expect you to be a politician or always politically correct, or we cannot expect you to be a doctor and an engineer. So we need to understand, or vice versa. So we need to understand this, and this is what I talk to people about, at least give the due respect to our imams and give them their due space that they require from the community.
Absolutely.
So before, inshallah, we finish, and time is never enough with a chef like you, mashallah. Today, we just wanted to let community know you're there, and this is where they can find the resources from you. But inshallah, we will invite you again for the show. Before we close, inshallah, if there is a message that you would like to give to our audience, as an imam or as a youth mentor, anything you would like to share to our audience, please.
Okay. To everybody listening to this, really what I want to say is that for the Muslim community to stay involved, be active in your community, give back. The world and the community that we live in is not just restricted to Muslims, it's everybody. It's your neighbors, it's your colleagues, it's your classmates. So what I would encourage all of you is to support one another, get out and volunteer, go to the hospital, go to your local nursing home, or anywhere that you can at least provide some extended support. So that's the first thing that I would encourage my brothers and sisters. But overall, all of you watching this, It's as simple as just being kind to one another. We live in a time in this day and age where hatred and discrimination and all of those things that are awful. Malcolm X once said that if you tell a lie long enough, it eventually becomes the truth. So if you end up seeing so much hatred every single day, for some people that aren't educated, that aren't disciplined, they're convinced that that's the way things are supposed to be. So the way to help counter that is be kind to one another, show love and care and acceptance to each other, understand that we are all part of the same planet, we're all part of the same community, and we all want good for each other. So with that discipline, I hope that inshallah ta'ala Allah blesses all of you. Jazakumullahu khairan.
That was a beautiful message. Jazakallah khair for your time and attending our show, and we hope to see you again. So the Community Rockers program with Shaikh Musleh concludes with that. Until the next show, I'm your host, Farina Siddiqui. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullah.